Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Today, I'm taking a long overdue look at the Marvel Legends 85 Years Warbird. Is this Target exclusive a bullseye, or did Hasbro miss the mark? Starting with the packaging, and it's that 85 Years box we've looked at before, complete with the 85 Years seal of approval. The name is on the side, but fair warning, I'll probably also be calling her Miss Marvel and Carol interchangeably. We do get a pretty spiffy picture of her on the spine, the full image of which we can see on the back. The boxes are nice and colorful, though as I've said before, a bio would be nice. Either way, for packaging, Warbird gets 4 points. Moving on to presentation, and Carol stands at 6 inches, or thereabouts 15 centimeters. The main draw for this figure is the new and improved articulation, but first we've got to take a look at what she, well, looks like. And to Hasbro's credit, there's a lot more new sculpting here than I thought there was. Obviously, some things like the arms are reused, same with the calves and feet, but not only does Warbird have a newly sculpted and newly articulated torso, they also went in and specially sculpted the thighs to have her boot tops. Let's be honest, under just about any other circumstance, those would have just been painted on, so this was a really pleasant surprise. Granted, the glove tops are painted on, so you can't win them all, but honestly, this looks fine. I have no idea if the sash belt is reused, but if you do, sound off in the comments. Otherwise, that lightning bolt is nice and vibrant. The articulation does a wonderful job of hiding the joints, and while I'm here, this torso would be perfect for a new and improved Psylocke. Of course, we've got to talk about the head. The face itself is sculpted very nicely. She kind of reminds me a bit of Charlize Theron. Either way, just very strong and powerful, and I love the hair. Not only has it been sculpted nicely, but I really do like the color of the blonde and also the shading that they put in there, and the layers as it either cascades or flies in the wind. For presentation, I'm giving this Carol Danvers a marvelous 5 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and let's see what that expanded articulation can do. From the top, and I'm very happy to see that Carol's head is on a ball joint and a disc swivel. Not that it matters all that much because of the hair. Unsurprisingly, she can't look up whatsoever, but she can look this far down, which is really good. I don't know if I'd say she has a tilt so much as a wobble, but she does have side to side. Moving down, and Miss Marvel can raise her arms over 90 degrees. She also has forward and back with the butterfly joint, which nicely aligns with the contours of her costume. That is pretty cool. Traveling down the arm, and she has bicep swivel, pinless double jointed elbow with a perfect bend, and wrists that can swivel and hinge either up or down. Moving to the middle, and the main attraction of this Marvel is the diaphragm joint and reverse ab crunch. That's been nicely hidden by the sash belt. Using both those joints, and she can arch back this far, which is exactly what I want to see from a flying character. Here she is standing straight, and here she is hunching forward. Add to that Warbird's wonderful tilt side to side, and of course twist. I gotta tell you, the combination of diaphragm and reverse ab crunch is becoming my favorite kind of torso articulation. Below the bright red sash, and Carol has ball jointed hips. She can kick 90 degrees and split this wide. She does have thigh cut, and one thing Hasbro did that I really appreciate was putting it further down her leg. That's so as not to break up the sculpt up here. It actually kind of reminds me of what Executive Replicas did with Lady Death. Traveling down the leg, and Danvers has pinless double jointed knees with a nice deep bend. No boot cut unfortunately, but she does have ankles that can hinge, and like Carol Danvers, from Miss Marvel to Warbird to eventually Captain Marvel, pivot. It's worth noting that Natasha here was the first recipient of this new and improved torso articulation for Lady Legends, and because of all the extraneous details, has a very limited use for other characters, whereas Warbird here is going to be great for lots of characters moving forward. I am very excited to see more of this new engineering. As for this figure, the articulation is fantastic. Obviously the hair gets in the way, but I never penalize a female figure for that. For Poseability, I'm giving Warbird 5 points. Moving on to Playability, and Carol does come with a few accessories. Throughout the video, we've been looking at these fists. She has some tried and true energy effects to wrap around them. That said, she also has the Lady Legend open hands and an alternate head. The mouth is a bit more open, and the mask is definitely different, as is the hair. It still has all that wonderful shading, of course, but seems a bit more 70s/80s. I get what Hasbro's going for, and I do appreciate the options, but in general, I do think I would have preferred two different expressions of the same face rather than two different eras of the character. Still, options are good. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. For the only other Carol Danvers in my collection, and here's the movie style Captain Marvel. As for the comics though, and here's the classic Captain Marvel. And call her Captain Marvel, call her Spectrum, call her Photon, but here we have Monica Rambeau. Lastly, and here we have the MCU version of Kamala Khan. As for some good classic comic Avengers, and here we have 80 years and 20th anniversary versions of Captain America, 80 years and Model 25 versions of Iron Man, 80 years Thor, and 80 years Hulk. Jumping ahead to some new Avengers though, and here we have Ben Grimm, the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing. This is the Walgreens version. Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. The Beyond Earth's Mightiest 2-pack version of Spider-Woman. Beyond Earth's Mightiest Hawkeye. Fellow 85 Years Collection Wolverine. And just because I think he looks better with the new Avengers, Retro Cards Spider-Man. That said, and for a relative scale comparison, here's Carol with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here she is with Stealth Iron Man. Putting her side by side with others, and this figure is a bit on the short side. Still, the piece count is pretty good given all the new sculpting. And for those like me who missed out on the original 3-pack version, she's a much needed addition to the shelf. For playability, I'm giving Warbird 4 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Warbird is a Target exclusive whose pre-orders sold out instantly. I found one on shelves, but because it was pre-street date, they wouldn't let me buy her, and wouldn't you know it, but the day she was supposed to go on sale, she was already gone. It took me a long time to track this down, and while I do like this figure, it did put a bad taste in my mouth. The new engineering is great, but the process of getting her is anything but marvelous. Docking her because of availability, and for price, I'm giving Warbird 3 points, averaging out to a final total of 4.2 out of 5. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.